So in this video, I'll talk about the 5 things you need to know before moving to Healdsburg. And I'll give you my honest opinion, and it'll either make you love it even more or hate it. So stick around to the end so you can make the right choice for you. So let's first talk about the housing market. Let's get it out of the way first. Real estate is expensive. The median house price in Healdsburg in the last quarter was 1.2 million, which is among the highest in Sonoma County. However, it's all relative because, I used to live in Mill Valley where the median price of a home was 2.3 million. So yes, it's expensive, but if you're looking to move to the Bay Area, it may not be as expensive as you think. The more important thing though is probably affordability, which is a function of interest rates, median incomes, and median house prices. So if you actually compare the median salary in San Francisco, which is about $84,000, it's 55% more than in Sonoma County, whereas the median home price in San Francisco is 1.4 million, which is just 17% higher. So if we look at it that way, then yes, Healdsburg is definitely less affordable compared to San Francisco if we take salaries into account. However, the reality these days is that a lot of people who live in Healdsburg or in other places in Sonoma County are able to tap into Bay Area salaries, working remotely or just going to the office a couple of days a week. So if you do want to know if now is a good time to buy in Healdsburg, then check out my other recent video. So what about the transport options in Healdsburg? For many people, the ability to work from home and the acceptance of employers to allow people to work from home, at least part of the time, has been a total game changer.
So live in the new house and work from home.
While it is possible to commute to San Francisco, as long as you choose the right time of day, it's definitely not something you'd want to do every day. Even outside of the peak hours, it will likely take you, 75 to 90 minutes each way. So it's definitely not something you want to do 5 days a week. So I recently did a video on the Smart Train, which will make a huge difference once it goes from the ferry terminal to downtown Healdsburg, but that's not until 2025. But it will still be a 90-minute commute to San Francisco. It just means it will be just a lot less stressful, and you'll be able to even have a glass of wine on the way back from the office.
It's the same but different.
However, the Smart Train, it will definitely be great for going out for dinner in, say, Santa Rosa or Petaluma, and being able to just leave the car behind. Or as a keen cyclist, to be able to get the train south and then do a long bike ride back, taking in the amazing cycling and the scenery in Sonoma County. It'll be awesome. But it sounds terrible to say, but if you do live in Healdsburg, it's very easy to not go far because the town's just so walkable if you live in the downtown area, and you've got most things on your doorstep. Even going to the supermarket, which is Big John's Market, is only a 5-minute drive away or a quick jump on an e-bike. In my mind, the worst aspect of Healdsburg is the fact that going to San Francisco Airport is a major effort, because you need to allow at least 2 hours to get there. I know it's not such a big deal, but it just adds an extra few hours onto a trip, which is fine until you have a flight at 7 a.m. in the morning, which means you then need to either get up at 3:30, 4 a.m. or else stay at an airport hotel, which is never fun. If all you ever do is go to Palm Springs, LA, Dallas, Portland, or other West Coast destinations, you can fly from Sonoma County Airport, which is just amazing. If I have a flight at 8 a.m., I can literally get out of bed at 6:30 and be up in the air in 90 minutes.
It's as easy as that.
You're just somewhat limited to 9 destinations, and some of those destinations, for example, Palm Springs, only offer seasonal flights, which don't start until November. Let's talk about utilities next. I know it's not a sexy topic, but it's definitely an important one. If you live in Healdsburg City, the great thing is that we have our own utility company, and so you don't have to rely on PG&E, which is good for 3 reasons. Firstly, electricity is greener, it's cheaper, and the lights are less likely to go out. At the moment, electricity from Healdsburg Utility is 47% cheaper than PG&E, which is definitely a big deal. The other cool thing, if you care about the planet, is it's also a lot greener, with 60% of all energy coming from sustainable sources, including the geysers up on Geyser Peak, as well as some of that electricity coming from what is the largest floating solar array in the United States, which has been installed on the wastewater plant. So if you live in rural Healdsburg, you're definitely lucky. Your well water is currently free, aside from the electricity that's used to pump it out of the ground. Although with groundwater levels low, there's talk about charging for well water moving forward, although that will likely only come in for agricultural use. Healdsburg famously limited water usage to 74 gallons per person per day a couple of years ago because of the severe drought. Thankfully, there were no longer limits on the amount of water you can use, although going through these severe restrictions is probably a good thing because it's definitely changed a lot of people's habits. Since the restrictions, water usage has actually reduced by nearly 30%, which is a pretty dramatic change. The bad news, I mean, like many places, is that the water service charge for a single family dwelling inside the city limits is increasing by 48% between now and July 2026. And wastewater services also increased by a whopping 53% since the beginning of 2022. So, costs are definitely on the rise. But what about the general cost of living? I mean, we've probably all heard enough about inflation over the past few years, and Healdsburg's no different. Things have definitely got a lot more expensive, especially food. I mean, we've got a great supermarket on the north end of town, which is Big John's Market, but it definitely is not the cheap option. It's funny, a friend of mine, he's always complaining about the cost of mayonnaise. I mean, why mayonnaise? I don't know. While I don't track the price of mayonnaise, I'm reliably informed that the cost of mayonnaise in Big John's has more than doubled over the past couple of years. I guess he must eat a lot of mayonnaise. But more seriously, there is a Safeway in town that's great for everyday items as well as bulk items. If you do want to pick something up in an emergency for dinner, it's hard to get any change from $50 if you go to Shelton's, although I do definitely love having a little market right in downtown that's just an easy walk away to get top-up items. When it comes to eating out, we're definitely truly spoiled in Healdsburg. Everyone knows about the fancy restaurants such as Single Thread, but that's definitely a one-off at $1,000 a head. The one thing that Healdsburg doesn't do as well is casual dining. If you want a sandwich for lunch, I mean, the sandwiches at Troubadour are amazing, but it's a $20 sandwich, which again is fine for a one-off, but it's definitely not your everyday option. There are some cheaper options for lunch, such as, there's some great Mexican restaurants in downtown, but there really aren't any real options for, a cheap salad or a cheap sandwich at lunchtime. I mean, I'm not a fan of burgers, but there's a new cheap and cheerful burger place on the square called Iggy's, although I've heard the Healdsburger is still the best burger in town. When it comes to dinner out, I mean, we've got a ton of amazing options. Although at the weekend, you definitely have to plan well ahead. If you expect to be able to always find somewhere to go spontaneously and eat out on a Saturday night,
I got bad news and bad news.
You may well be disappointed. And when it comes to cheap and cheerful dinner options, there really isn't a great choice. That being said, I'm a big fan of the new Indian restaurant in town called Bollywood Kitchen, which I can highly recommend. Finally, let's talk about entertainment and recreation. If you like the outdoor life, there's a load to offer. If you like hiking or running, then just north of Healdsburg is Lake Sonoma, which has miles of hiking and mountain biking trails. But the great thing about Healdsburg is that we're only 40 minutes away from the coast at Jenner, where there are a ton of hiking options along the coast. And what's more, it means that when it's 100 degrees in Healdsburg, you can get away and find somewhere that it could be well be 30 degrees cooler, which is really nice. I mean, I love cycling, and so again, we're lucky that we have some of the best cycling in Sonoma County right on the doorstep. There is something for all levels. There's a 25-mile loop around Dry Creek Valley, or a more ambitious climb up Pine Flat or Pine Not So Flat. That's a grueling 3,000-foot ride with sections over 20% gradient. If you want to be even more adventurous, there are some great rides, out to Guerneville and out towards the coast. So you really do have endless options if you're a keen cyclist. When it comes to entertainment, I feel the number of events that are organised by the community is just off the charts. So whether it's Tuesday night on the plaza with free music, or Cinco de Mayo, there's always something going on. On top of that, there are all the individual events that are organised by wineries, as well as things like the Food and Wine Festival, which is now in its second year, which is a great event. A lot of these events, they are quite expensive, but there are cheaper events, and you do have some wineries such as Lambert Bridge that will do its Friday night pizza night for members, but that's also open to non-members. So things like that are also really great. So yes, Healdsburg is expensive, but then again, so is everywhere in the Bay Area. If you're the type of person who's constantly traveling with work from SFO, then you may find Healdsburg just too inconvenient. However, the pros far outweigh the cons. And I've not even spoken about the people, which is probably the best thing about Healdsburg. There's just a great community of people and lots of other great people looking to buy in the area. So, I mean, I get calls all the time from people moving home, specifically around Healdsburg, Windsor, Santa Rosa, Sonoma. So reach out to me if you're looking at buying in or around Sonoma County, or would like to know more. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll love the next one on screen right now. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, go well.